viral. And now, from the presidential debate in Greenville, South Carolina, here's your host, Bob Powell.
I'm here at the Peace Center in Greenville, South Carolina. It's the scene of the first debate of the 2012 election cycle. The mood's pretty festive outside. We've got street bands playing off in the distance, a few street preachers spreading their message of salvation. But the big question tonight is, are any of the participants in tonight's debate going to be the salvation of the Republican Party? Participating in tonight's debate are Tea Party candidate Herman Cain, former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson, former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum, and Texas Congressman Ron Paul. Most of the GOP heavy hitters have decided to skip the debate tonight, but according to South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, that could be a big mistake, because South Carolina is the home of the first primary scheduled for the 2012 election year. And as she says, as South Carolina goes, so goes the nation.
Whoever wins the Republican nomination in South Carolina ends up winning the Republican nomination for the country. South Carolina is an important state because our people get it. And I think what you saw in this first debate is just a tease. It is go time, and we're getting ready to get started.
One of the favorite topics of conversation on Above Top Secret is the Bilderberg Group. And Chuck here was lucky enough to speak with former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford about the subject.
Really sure about that. It wasn't started by King Philip's buddy over in the Netherlands to destroy American sovereignty.
Oh, I got to talk to him about something.
I wish you would look into it since you went there. If you would come out, if you looked into the Bilderberg Group and you came out and talked about what really happened there, it would make a big difference for America, sir. It would make a real difference.
That's a big globalist theory.
I'll shake your hand if you promise to look into the Bilderberg and what they do.
What do you have to say?
He said the Bilderberg Group was a bunch of washed-up has-beens, and really, the thing that I wanted to tell him the most was, hey, look, you say you're going to look into it, I'll shake your hand, and I'll take your word for it, which, you know, I take it lightly, but who cares about Miss Argentina when you're up there making plans for the overthrow of the United States government?
So is Mark Sanford supposed to be a member of the Bilderberg Group?
Well, he was invited, and he said he was invited by a man. He didn't give a name, but he said he was invited by a man. He chose to go, and he was one of two governors. There's two governors of the fifth that go every year. He was one of the two. And then the big scandal came.
I think there's a lot of intrigue and conspiracy theory on that one that really doesn't exist, at least based on my limited experience. And I can't speak for what's happened there over the years. I was invited by a friend. He said, you'll learn a lot. It was apparently originally set up after World War II to try and keep the link between Europe and America from the standpoint of keeping a conversation going. That's largely what went on. And so, I mean, with all due respect to conversation, there were a bunch of guys who thought they were smart, saying, hey, I think this or I think that, but right. I mean, I'm coming. And so I guess I'd say I'm never, regardless of who it's with the exception of maybe terrorists, I don't think conversation is a bad thing. None of these people had the keys to power. They were all folks that, well, that's not true. There were two senators there, and there were two governors. There was a Republican governor and there was a Democratic governor. And so they talked about what was going to happen next in the relation with China, what was going to happen next in relation to Europe, what was going to happen next. And so I thought it was interesting. And so I understand that a lot of conservatives are very messed up. I called a number of friends that had called me and said, well, why'd you go? I said, well, look, a friend asked. I didn't know there was such a big deal.
Yeah. If it was 100 and some of the Hollywood top-notch stars, the media would be swarming that place. Right. But this is 100 and some of the most powerful power brokers across the world.
But they're really not. I just, with all due respect to the folks
like David Rockefeller and
David Rockefeller is a yesterday's news kind of guy. I mean, David Rockefeller,
Henry Paulson was there, Ben Bernanke. I mean, that's some heavy hitters there. So
maybe they weren't there.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, were they?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you sure about that? I'm not trying to defend the group. I'm not. I went there once. It was interesting. I said, look, if it's a big deal, I ain't going again. It ain't that big a deal. But I would say that there is just in fairness to that group, there's probably a lot of conspiracy theory that exists based on people being frightened about what they don't know. And I'm just saying.
The thing that whenever I was thinking about this evening, it was like he had that big scandal go on. Bilderberg Group, very good at controlling the media. You think it would have blown up that much? That's kind of, it's just a thought, you know, it's just a thought. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe he didn't join and maybe they kind of got back at him.
Well, the Bilderberg Group doesn't control me. And it doesn't control above top secret. I'm standing here with Herman Cain. He's a big cheese of Godfather's Pizza. And sir, I've got a question.
Yes.
Okay. Osama bin Laden was never charged with a crime in connection with 9/11. He's dead. Everybody's cheering. Okay. Then we've got Anwar al-Awlaki. That man is an American citizen.
All right, meanwhile, the Central Intelligence Agency wants him dead or alive, but apparently the American-born terrorist with ties to the 9/11 hijackers has been a guest of honor at the Pentagon. Julie Kurtz joins us from Washington. You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, here's what we know. Fox News has learned that Anwar al-Awlaki, the American Muslim cleric, remember him with a worldwide following, dined with military brass at the Pentagon within months of the 9/11 attacks. New documents obtained by Fox include an FBI interview conducted after the Fort Hood shootings. It states that al-Awlaki was taken to the Pentagon as part of the military's outreach to, quote, moderate Muslims, according to FBI documents. We do know that currently al-Awlaki is a high priority target for the U.S. and the government of Yemen. He is connected to the 9/11 hijackers, the shootings at Fort Hood, and bombings.
The fact that Anwar al-Awlaki is an American citizen,
Yes.
and that he's never been charged, much less convicted of a crime.
He should be.
But, well, whether he should be or not is beside the point. He has not been charged, and he has not been convicted in a court of law. He's an American citizen.
I agree. He should be charged, and since he's an American citizen, he should then be tried in our courts.
Do you think it's legal to issue a shoot-to-kill order?
What do you mean?
In his case?
In his case, no, because he's an American citizen. If he's an American citizen, which is the big difference, then he should be charged and he should be arrested and brought to justice.
Now, I'm standing here with New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson, and I've got one question for you. In the case of Anwar al-Awlaki, that man is an American citizen.
Exactly.
He has never been charged with a crime, much less convicted of one. Yet President Obama has issued a shoot-to-kill order on him.
That is very troubling. Very troubling.
So, do you think that when the President of the United States can issue an execution order on an American citizen without having been brought to trial? Do we live in a dictatorship now?
Well, what you point out is very troubling. Yes.
Would you say that when the President can just executively order the murder of an American citizen without a trial, that we live in a dictatorship?
Well, the reality is that has been ordered, and this is an individual who is an American citizen and has not been tried or convicted of anything.
And if you were in the White House today, how would you take care of Mr. al-Awlaki?
I would be looking to apprehend Mr. al-Awlaki, and I don't know what the evidence. Again, it's wrong. It's wrong. This is just very troubling. Very troubling that the United States government would issue a kill order on a United States citizen that has not been tried or arrested.
I'm standing here with Fred Carter. He's another candidate for president. He didn't make it on the stage tonight. This is a very interesting press kit. It says, Fred who? Well, Mr. Carter was a political advisor to President Reagan and President Bush. First President Bush?
Yes.
Anwar al-Awlaki. He's been touted now as one of the higher-ups in Al-Qaeda. But this man is an American citizen. He's never been tried, never even been charged with a crime. Yet President Obama has issued a shoot-to-kill order on him wherever he may be found anywhere in the world. Do you think that the president's overstepping his authority just a little bit?
Well, you know, when it comes to terrorism, I think the tougher we are, the better. We need to send a message to these terrorists that, you know, we're not going to just sit back. The system of military courts are obviously better in these situations, but when someone has evaded the law and we cannot find them, you know, sometimes an order to shoot to kill is necessary. I mean, I think we need a very tough approach to terrorism in this country, and I think that, you know, I'm for the continued opening and use of Guantanamo. I think that system works, and bringing these trials to New York City, disrupt the entire city, and to, you know, cost the American public, I think is not worth the price they're trying to do to bring this. And same with, you know, and move everyone to a prison in Illinois when we're established in Guantanamo, which is still a strange situation to me, the fact that we're on Cuban soil. But, you know, we need that ability to interrogate these possible terrorists and obviously some trials, you know, as they're brought up for prosecution.
But for the President of the United States to issue a shoot-to-kill order on an American citizen without any kind of a trial, without even a charge, he hasn't even been charged with a crime. Don't you think that's overstepping it a little bit?
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that particular case or the President's orders on that, so it's hard for me to really comment. I'm fairly new to the issues and policy area. I've always worked for a lot of candidates, so I'm really trying to study and load up on the issues, but obviously that is another concern.
Okay, well, Fred Carter, he's a candidate for president, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Enjoyed it. Thanks, Trevor, very much.